Sam, thank you so much for joining me today. Really excited to have this conversation. For those who don't know that Sam sells houses, give us a little intro, introduce yourself to our audience.
Hey, thanks, Mitch. My name's Sam Sawyer. I graduated 1 year before Mitch at SMU in 2009. I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, and then went to SMU. And when I graduated, lived in Dallas for a few years, and then spent some time in San Francisco. And now I'm in Austin. Always been in residential real estate world, from being an agent and starting a couple of different brokerage companies, but now focused on running Pinnacle Realty Advisors and based in Austin, Texas.
The merger of tech and residential real estate. Those watching or listening who were in our, 2 years before, 2 after, definitely will recognize the name. You were one of the first entrepreneurs I knew who actually took advantage of it while in school. Walk
Right.
us through, from being from Memphis, what was your SMU origin story? How did you find the school, and what kind of made you pick SMU as your college choice?
Yeah. SMU was definitely not on my radar, I don't think, when I started senior year of high school. I was dead set on going to play lacrosse in college at some schools in the Northeast, and looked at some places like Ohio State and Bucknell and Dartmouth and W&L. And
Yeah.
I knew that I didn't want to go too close to home, like Vanderbilt or Ole Miss or something. And honestly, I decided sometime towards the end of senior year that I didn't want to go play Division I lacrosse and wanted to go to SMU. And I think it was really influenced a lot. We were talking about this just a second ago, but George Edwards, who some people may know, we were neighbors growing up, and George went to SMU, and I went and visited him one time when I was a senior in high school, and then I think after that I decided I wanted to go to SMU. And so
Amazing.
I applied and got in, and I had spent some time in Dallas, growing up.
Yeah.
My parents had some friends there, and it was far enough away from Memphis, but not going to somewhere crazy
Yeah.
in New York or something.
Dartmouth
So
doesn't
yeah,
seem
yeah,
like
yeah.
the
So
right
it
fit.
felt close enough to home, like
Yeah.
Memphis.
So shout out George Edwards leading the way for the Memphis guys. And then obviously, like you said, you spent some time in Dallas. You had a close friend who was a couple years above you, kind of probably hearing firsthand from him what he liked. What was your mindset, right? Sounds like you're an athlete coming out of high school. That probably is a transition that you're going to now go to a university where sports aren't your everyday kind of activity. What was your mindset like? Did you always like real estate? Was it business? Was it history? What did you kind of want to focus on or explore as you stepped onto the hilltop?
Yeah, I don't think I ever really was dead set on real estate or anything when I was younger. I've always been interested in selling things, for better or for worse, I guess. Like going back, growing up, I would like to sell things on eBay, and had a car washing business in high school, and lots of other random things that we could talk about some other time. But I think I residential real estate was just kind of something I came across when I was still in school, and got my real estate license one summer when I was doing summer school. I was doing summer school at SMU between freshman and sophomore year, and took the class to get my license, and then kind of started helping, people on the club lacrosse team at SMU, and then just friends around school find rentals. And then
So was it
I
that
still didn't.
hustler mentality of like, okay, I've always, in high school, I always had in an odd job of a way to make some money. Like, I see things people need. Why am I not the one solving that? You
Right,
get to campus and you see after freshman year, everyone needs an apartment. And did you think,
right.
why am I not that person who's getting paid and kind of finding this
Yeah,
for
I
people?
don't know. People ask me this question all the time, and I still don't really know. Uh, I think it was just a way I knew that I could make money and try to still go to class, because
Yeah.
I didn't you didn't have, like, set hours being in real estate,
Right.
and yeah, I mean, even when I graduated, I still wasn't thinking I was gonna work in real estate. So, like, I still think to this day that I'll probably eventually still do something else, but
Yeah, right.
it still hasn't happened, and, it was 15 years ago or whatever.
So
Um,
what's appealing about maybe those listening as a way to, if you're looking for a job, plenty of it people have to work while in college. What's kind of
yeah,
the pros of being a real estate agent while in school? I mean, it makes perfect sense as you kind of look back and that you have the client base is in your cohort at the
yeah.
university, and they have demand of what they need. What do you like about that world? What's kind of what'd you learn about doing it while still at school?
Yeah, I think it was a way to make money while you're in school and, you still go into class and things like that, and then, sometimes you would end up working on, like, the weekends or things, like, if people's parents were in town and wanted to see things, but,
Hmm.
I mean, everyone yeah, like you were saying, everyone needs a place to live, and around SMU, there's some really expensive places to live, and even renting even renting places, you still make a lot of money, you
Hmm.
usually get paid part of the first month's rent, and so, like, as a college student, if you, do 5 to 10 deals a semester or whatever, it adds up to a lot of money, and you're not committing to some, like, 9 to 5 job or,
Right.
something like that, but, yeah, and then in the summer, I would usually stay and work, and yeah, once yeah, you can make a lot of money. I mean, you're working on your own, and then it's usually just like you were saying, helping friends and people that you wanna be hanging out with anyways, and
For sure. So
if you
you
just learn
you saw
everything.
this as a way to make money. It kind of kept you in the fabric of kind of your traditional college experience. What then, you always mention, even to this day, thinking about you won't always be in residential real estate or touching that space. What was graduation like? Were you applying to other companies, or were you doing so well in real estate that you're like, I can keep doing
Yeah.
this? What was that kind of decision where you had probably a perfect opportunity to go into a different field at graduation, but you decided to stay in the brokerage space?
Yeah, graduating, 2009, it was still pretty rough job market, like, after the
Mhm.
financial crisis, and, like, of our group of friends, a lot of people a lot smarter than I am were having trouble finding jobs, it was like, people either had a job that they had, been
Yeah,
talking to the company for, like, over a year, or, like, literally people couldn't find anything and everyone was, like, moving home.
right,
I still, at that time, was like I mean, I remember I applied for some job at Facebook, which at the time, Facebook was, like, non-existent company,
right.
but I was still, like, looking around, and then I think I just had this realization that I wanted to stay in Dallas at the time, and, I was making money and, it was a weird time just to, like, stop making money and go into something when the job market was so crazy, and so
Right.
yeah, so I was working at Briggs Freeman at the time, which now is, still in Dallas, Briggs
Yep.
Freeman, Sotheby's, and just stayed there for the next 4 or 5 years, right after college.
So you put all the chips in on going into residential real estate. How does one frame a strategy when doing that, right? Like, I look at that industry, and you're kind of a solo business owner, right? Your Sam is responsible for Sam. Yeah, you have some resources through Briggs Freeman and maybe some team members. Like, how did you go into this? Okay, I'm in my early 20s. Like you said, Dallas has so many options. You could sell the mega mansions, you could be apartment leasing.
Right.
Like, give us a little overview of kind of how you frame that and what your thought was of like, okay, if I'm going to be successful in this world, I'm going to go attack this lane, or hey, it's time to break away from selling to the college kids who are non-committal. I want to sell to new
Yeah.
home buyers. What was your thought, and kind of how'd you build a launching pad?
Yeah, I think, like, sometime during senior year, I sold my first place. So, I had been doing the rental stuff
Yep.
mainly, and then I had friend's dad, who I'm still friends with to this day, who bought this townhome on McFarland. And, the place was like $600,000. And,
Right.
then when you sell something like that, you make like 20 grand.
Right.
And I was like, this is a different than renting an apartment on Rosedale.
Right.
Um, and so I think I was just realizing, like, why am I going to give up something, where you're making this kind of money? And so that was kind of why I decided to stay. But then I think just getting more into the sales stuff and not getting away from renting stuff, but just focusing more on, expanding outside of SMU and started selling. At the time, a lot of people were buying houses in like the M Streets area.
Mhm. Mhm.
Devonshire, you could still find a house for like sub 500K. Like it was just a different. Dallas is a totally different housing market now. But yeah, and then after a few years, you just anyone that's sub 30 years old, thinks of you as an agent.
Right.
There's not a lot of guys in residential real estate. I still don't know why, but
Right.
so yeah, I don't know. I mean, you just have a different perspective, and a lot of the agents typically are like older
Right.
and have been around for a long time, and so there were probably 5 to 6 agents in Dallas at the time that were like under 30,
Wow.
and yeah, and then I don't know, you just work with people you want to work with, and then once you sell a house, you usually get referred to someone else by that
Right.
person, and it just keeps going.
So it's reputation, it's network. I'm sure going to a school like SMU, your network is strong. You had
Yeah,
that
it's huge.
history. What what do you look for? I mean, we talked a little bit. You've worked at a few different firms before as we kind of get into the
Mhm.
meat of this conversation. What should people look for when either early in their career, later in the career of finding that, brokerage that's the right fit for them to be able to achieve what they want to do in residential real estate space?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, residential or, I think commercial real estate's more popular in Dallas.
Mhm.
Uh, but I think either one, like if you're starting out, just trying to work like on a team or work with someone that's older, which
Mhm.
I did not do that. So I'm not really giving you advice that I experienced, but I feel like I was just kind of always on my own, and I feel like it takes like years longer to figure out just stuff like how the contracts work and all this stuff. So I don't know if the firm matters as much, like when you're starting out in residential or commercial, but just trying to find like a team someone that can show you how things work is a huge advantage. I don't think the firm matters actually.
Okay.
Um,
It's the people, it's the mentors.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Just someone that'll take the time to show you all the contracts or literally like how do you open the door. I mean, there's stuff like that where you like have to know how to work all these lock
locks and thing, yeah.
boxes and how do you schedule it, and like that stuff's a lot harder than just showing the house.
Right. I mean, this is kind of a perfect stopping point before we transition into the solution and the tech side that you're building at Pinnacle. But, given your 15 plus years in residential, a lot of our audience is that kind of either first home buyer, selling their first home, kind of upgrading. What are kind of give us a landscape of where you see the residential market right now, maybe nationally, then regionally, kind of in the Texas, let's call it, and then maybe some pitfalls or things people should think about when buying a home or selling a home.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, yeah, so my company that I run now, we're in 6 different states. So California, we see a lot of different things across the states we're in, but I think nationally, 2025 is gonna end up being the worst year in residential real estate in over a decade
Wow.
in terms of number of homes sold. It's off the average by, like, 2,000,000. Um, like, the average the last decades are usually, like, high 5,000,000s to, like, 6.5 million transactions a year, and this year it's gonna be, like, sub 5,000,000.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, that may change between now and the end of the year, but it's tracking to be, like, one of the worst years by transaction volume since, like, the mid-90s or something crazy.
Wow.
Um, but it's very different in every place, like, honestly, I think Dallas is probably one of the strongest housing markets in the whole country, and, I'm in Austin now, but we have agents in Dallas, and I keep up with everything in Texas, but,
Mhm.
so I think Dallas next year will become even stronger with a lot of the things going on around the state and the country and just businesses moving to Texas. Um, but honestly, like San Francisco's made a huge comeback too. It's
Mm.
homes there selling in few days. It's probably even stronger than Dallas, but
Oh, wow.
I think that's just a lot of the AI companies and the people's salaries are $500,000 and they're 23 years old and things like
Right.
that.
Yeah,
Um,
some cash to spend.
but I would say going to the other part of the question, like people buying houses, I used to always tell people, like, don't just force yourself into buying a house unless you wanna be there for a few years.
Mhm.
Um, renting is totally fine and cool, and I don't have, like, a strong opinion on the you have to buy a house right away that
Right.
gets tossed around on the internet. Um, I think, buying a house is, like, a huge commitment, and it's not always the best, like, financial return that everyone thinks it is.
Right.
So, people I argue with people about that a lot.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
but I do think buying a home in Dallas in a good neighborhood, you'll be fine, but I used to have people that would buy a house and a year later, they're wanting to sell it, and then they wonder why they're losing money. It's like
Right.
the it doesn't automatically appreciate even in a strong market, and
That short of
I just
period.
think a lot of people get sideways with that.
For sure, I can see that. So, now into Pinnacle, you touched on it a little bit. You spent, call it 10 plus years on the agent side, right? And then
Right.
ultimately in 2020, Pinnacle went live. Tell us a little bit about what Pinnacle is, that origin story. And was 2020 a rough year to start, or was that part of the
Right.
origin story of why it was able to work at that time?
Yeah. Yeah, so before that, like in 2017, I don't 2017 or 2018, myself and 2 other agents from, Briggs Freeman in Dallas, we left there and started this company called The Collective that was a
Mhm.
small boutique brokerage in Dallas that it wasn't even around a year, and then that company was acquired by Compass, and then we helped open Compass in Dallas, which
Mhm.
Compass is everywhere now, but when that happened, everyone thought that we had been acquired by a bank, and we used to have to explain that it was
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
than Compass Bank, but Jonathan Rosen and Christy Berry are still at Compass. Neither of them went to SMU, sadly. Um, but yeah, we started that thinking, we'd have that company for like a decade, and then at the time, Compass was expanding like crazy across America, and
Mhm.
we were worried if we didn't sell that to them that, they were just gonna take a lot of the agents that we were wanting to have, so,
Yeah.
that turned out to be incredible, and, Dallas is still one of Compass's strongest markets in the entire United States. Um, but so I stayed at Compass for a little while after that, and then did kind of a detour from residential real estate for a little bit and moved to San Francisco and was the first employee at this company called Zero Down that, um, was in Y Combinator, if anyone's heard of
Mm.
that famous accelerator
Yeah.
thing. We were in Y Combinator in 2019. That was like a new age mortgage company, so it was kind of a rent to own kind of model where we were doing all kinds of things, but the guys that started that company had previously started Zenefits, which
Mm.
is like one of the largest payroll companies, and, so, that overall was just like totally different experience for me. I was running the real estate side of the company and determining like which homes we wanted to buy and rent out and things like that. But
Mm.
San Francisco just kind of opened my eyes to just all these different business models and all kinds of things. So while I was there, I just had an idea to start kind of just a slightly different real estate brokerage model. And then that during that time is when I kind of thought of Pinnacle, and then COVID accelerated me starting because San Francisco during COVID was a very tough place to live.
Right.
Uh, and so I started work. I had a very good relationship with the Zero Down guy. So I stepped away from Zero Down and was still helping them out kind of when I was getting things organized for Pinnacle. We
Mhm.
officially launched Pinnacle like fall of 2021. And
Okay.
I had been working on it before then, but that was
Yeah.
kind of when we first had agents and things, and I moved to Austin, so I'm in Austin now. And so yeah, the whole idea is the Pinnacle is a subscription-based real estate brokerage. So traditionally, brokerage firms operate on commission splits where, when an agent sells something, the brokerage firm takes a percentage of the commission.
Right.
We we do everything a normal brokerage firm does in terms of the licensing and all the compliance stuff and all that stuff. Just our financial model between ourselves and the agent is where it's completely different. So when an agent joins, they actually pay us a monthly fee, and they pay us every month no matter what they sell. And then when they sell something, they just keep whatever they make. So we don't get involved in that side.
And
There's other
when you explain that now, that's such a light bulb moment of like, that's so
right.
simple, that's clean. Had anyone tried this before? What was kind of that first year of beta testing this or testing this out with agents to see if that would work?
Right. Yeah, there's other like 100% commission models in the
Mhm.
brokerage world, but most of them are still some combination where they take a commission split up to a certain amount. Um, there weren't at the time any like pure subscription based type models like ours,
Mhm.
and I think a lot of that is because it'd be really hard to do it if you had like tons of offices and a bunch of overhead.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, it was interesting to start during COVID, like the worst time ever probably to start a company. But, yeah, I mean, it was interesting, like, our company was started fully remote, it's still fully remote, we've got, you know, over 1,000 agents now,
Wow.
and then we have employees in, like, 5 or 6 different cities. I, do not think working remotely for the staff at companies, I actually hate it.
Mhm.
Um, and, like, if I were starting it now, I wouldn't do it, but I think it was just kinda like a function of the time.
Right.
But I think remote working is hard.
And so
Um,
you're doing this in San Francisco where you're around, a tech cohort and have relationships there. Did you go about this in kind of a tech fashion? You went and raised money from peers, or was it kind of like, hey, this can kind of fund itself if we get enough agents up and going? I can do some my own money, and then when did you know the model would work? If we can get to X amount of agents, it starts to break even.
yeah, when I left yeah, so I guess at the Zero Down company, the Y
Hmm.
Combinator company, at that company, we had raised a lot of venture capital
Right.
money, and so I met a lot of
Awesome.
just venture firms and people in San Francisco. But, when I left to start this, I had some just venture firms reach out just to see what I was doing, and pretty early, kind of before I even honestly had this idea all the way figured out, I raised a little bit of money from this firm in Los Angeles,
Hmm.
and that helped us get everything going and operate for a
Amazing.
while, and then we we've only raised money we raised a seed round in the
Yeah.
I don't even know how people label, fundraising rounds anymore
Right.
because now
Right.
it's gotten out of hand, but we
Right.
raised one, like, real, like, venture round, a seed round, we raised a
Okay.
few $1,000,000,
Amazing. Because it
like,
seems like this model
a
can
few years ago.
and this model
Um
that you've built doesn't need a lot, right? It kinda
Right.
once that's obviously you have your fixed costs, but once you kinda get critical mass on the agency side, right, it starts to
Yeah,
really
we're
scale.
profitable now, so the big keep raising tons of venture capital money is not something that we'll do with this company, but, it was helpful to get things going, and then
Yeah.
now I mean, yeah, also the last few years, fundraising's been horrendous for prop tech companies,
Mhm. Mhm.
and the industry's still pretty crazy, and a lot of companies are going out of business, but,
Right.
yeah, I mean, we're focused on just running more I say traditional, like making money is traditional, but venture capital firms don't exactly
Yeah.
always,
Go that
want
route.
people to. So
So we look at the stats now. You guys do over 1 billion in sales, kind of year over year. Like you
yeah.
mentioned, over 1,000 agents have become part of the network. You know,
Mhm.
thousands of transactions have occurred through you guys. What was the initial sales pitch like? How did you get those first agents on board? What was
Yeah.
that story? When did you know at one point this was going to work and this is a successful message? And then kind of put a bow on it with where you guys are today and kind of what you vision you have for the next few years.
Yeah, probably took I mean, when we started just being in the brokerage world before, I knew that we could I knew we could recruit agents. I didn't really
Mm-hmm.
know what price they would pay and all these things, but
Right.
over time, like in the beginning, we tested out a lot of different pricing. I mean, we still try stuff out now, but I just knew that if we could get to like 50 to 100 agents, then we could at least like cover the cost of hiring some people and things like
Mm-hmm.
really early on. And so, I mean, honestly, in the beginning, everyone thinks it's like a scam because they don't understand.
Yeah.
Everyone's so used to a different cost structure. They're like, how do you
Right. Why
even
does
run
this
a
work?
business?
Right.
And I'm like, think about right? Like we charge like hundreds of dollars a month. It's not like $10 a month or
Right.
something. So
Right.
a lot of people just don't understand how that adds up when like I know exactly how much when you sign up, it's a year contract. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of brokerage firms, they have like the craziest financial statements you'd ever see because their revenue is like so inconsistent. Like
Mm-hmm.
they can make like 80% of their revenue in 3 months, and then like the other 9 months, they can make like
Right.
no
Nothing.
money or lose money.
Right.
And that's why like traditional brokerages sell for really low prices.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I just knew that if we could get to a certain amount of agents, it would work out. And then we now are in 6 states. Yeah, we've got over 1,000 agents. We have a few different products. Like we have a white label product where if somebody wants to launch their own brand, um, like if you
That's
wanted to start
awesome.
Mitch Brown
Yeah.
Realty, but you don't want to get all the licenses and stuff, we'll pretty much do all the back office work for you, and then you can, just run the company. So that product's only in Texas and California, but that's growing really fast. And then the other one is just that people join Pinnacle the sign says Pinnacle Realty Advisors, and then
Right.
we're in Florida, North Carolina, Arkansas, Louisiana, and then California and Texas.
And so who's a good candidate to think about? We talk about Dallas has a plethora of real estate professionals. What makes someone a good candidate for Pinnacle that would and the services you guys provide? What's kind of the pros and why they should kind of consider that route versus maybe the traditional brokerage they're using now?
Yeah, I mean, we really attract a lot of it's really like someone that wants their own brand. I mean, that's a lot of the high-end agents that, they're at Compass or Keller Williams or whatever, and they,
Mhm.
wanna start like Sam and Mitch Realty, but
Mhm.
you don't wanna be the broke it is a huge pain to set up real estate brokerages. There's so
Right.
many, like, licenses and legal stuff and all that, so we've figured out a way where, we can set someone up, in a I mean, we can really set someone up in, like, a week, but usually people don't wanna move that fast, but,
Right.
yeah, so it's a way for someone to launch their own business without all the stuff, and it's,
It's
like,
genius.
80% cheaper, but, I mean, I don't think we wouldn't have been able to do that until we got big enough now where we have a lot of systems that we've built, and we don't really we don't build tools like CRMs and all the
Mhm.
crap that I think people waste money on.
Yeah.
We just we've spent a lot of money building a lot of tools behind the scenes to, like, automate how the company runs, and we're using a decent amount of, like, interesting AI tools. I
Mhm.
know that gets a lot of hype, but for smaller companies, there's some really crazy tools that can save a lot of money just with, like, answering the phone and automating, like, documents and, um yeah. So, like, that's where we've spent a lot of money, and that's how we're able to we've only got about 10 employees, and
Right.
we've got over 1,000 customers, and so
And so that is that where the future is? It's continuing to build back-end tools that support the agents, and then it's growth road from there. Go from 1,000 to 2,000 to 10,000 agents
yeah,
over time.
well, see, I think we're more focused on finding, like, higher quality, like, full-time agents where,
Mm,
the first year or 2, it was kinda like sign up everyone. There was, like, a lot of churn, like, the year right after when the housing market went nuts, like,
yeah.
during COVID.
Right.
So, like, there were just so many people getting their real estate
Right.
licenses.
Everyone wanted to be an agent and
So
get some
most
money.
of those people have, like, left the industry. We didn't have a ton of those people, but
Mhm.
we've kinda been focusing more like, full-time agent, higher end agent the last year or so, and so the growth in agent count's a little bit slower, but the revenue is a lot higher and they stay a lot longer.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's a company you could expand across the country. We're not planning to open any new states right now, but California and Texas are growing really fast, and so, um, there's a crazy stat, but, like, Texas, California, and Florida, it's like 40 something percent of all the real estate agents in the whole country, and so we're
Are
in
in
those
those
3.
3 states?
Yeah, it's something I could
That's
look it
not
up and send
yeah,
it to
right,
you. It's like
but some massive
and they
percentage.
also yeah, and they also have some massive percentage of all the transactions in the country
Yeah.
because and so, like, you don't like,
Wow.
opening, like, Rhode Island or something doesn't really help me out.
Right, right,
Um,
right.
uh, and so, yeah, we're just focused on those states, and yeah,
No,
I
that's
mean
incredible. I mean, in such a short time span, you guys have been able to build a lot. I mean, you're a perfect example of the SMU entrepreneurial spirit, someone who's, you know, taking a traditional model, rethinking it, retooling it. You found that with your experience of getting to San Francisco and kind of exposing yourself to that lens and always continuing to educate yourself. So, you know, we're lucky to call you an SMU alum and thank you for taking the time to share with us and really encourage
de
those in the residential space to visit the Pinnacle site. We'll put that in this bio. And I know everyone, you're always make yourself available to those alumni who are interested in learning a little bit more. So Sam, thank you
yeah.
for telling your SMU story.
Yeah, thanks a lot, this was fun, and, yeah, reach out if anyone has any questions, that sounds awesome, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. Talk to you soon.
Alright, thanks.
This episode of SMU Stories is made possible by our incredible sponsors, Security National Bank, Hilltop Property Tax, SMU Cox School of Business, Mignon Steakhouse, and Sound of a Rose podcast.